Hello, I'm Adrian Lester, and these are my questions and ancestors. Wow.
Just think about the ancestors who passed you that DNA and what their lives were like.
How does that sit with you?
I'm slightly speechless.
I can see.
A puzzle, a jigsaw piece fits in and you go, oh, that's why, or that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it now. This is remarkable.
Thank you for joining Questions and Ancestors with me, Alex Jones, brought to you by Ancestry. Now, if you've ever been curious about your family history and wondered just how true the rumours are about your distant relatives, well, you are in good company. Each of my guests in this series also have unanswered questions about their family trees. Helping us to solve some of these mysteries is Ancestry's senior genetic genealogist, Laura House. Joining me today is a familiar face of stage and screen. He's a multi-award-winning director and actor, known for his extensive classical theatre work playing the leads in Othello, Henry V and Hamlet, among others. On the big screen, his roles include the Hollywood political comedy Primary Colours, appearing alongside Emma Thompson and John Travolta. He sealed his household name status as con artist Mickey Bricks in the BBC hit TV show Hustle, and starred in a string of other successful shows, including The Sandman for Netflix, the BBC's Merlin, and Trigger Point on ITV. He is incredibly busy, so I'm thrilled he's made time for us. He's currently promoting his new spy series Ponies on Sky TV, and over the summer you will be able to see him in a new action thriller film, Mutiny, with Jason Statham. But he's hot-footed it to us from the stage door of the Noel Coward Theatre, as he's back on stage donning a prosthetic nose for the Royal Shakespeare Company's acclaimed production of Cyrano de Bergerac. I'm delighted to be joined by the brilliant Adrian Lester, CBE. Adrian, welcome to Questions and Ancestors. Lovely to have you.
Thank you.
We are thrilled. Now, with you, of course, you're used to playing characters. But how do you feel when you're about to learn about your own family history? It's quite different, isn't it?
It's very different. I mean, I don't know, are there some surprises, or you're not giving anything away? Okay. Yeah, it does feel a bit weird to dig into the truth of things.
So is there anybody in your family who likes tracing your family back, who's had a go at it? Who's the historian?
I think my generation of cousins, there's quite a few of us, we've all been asking our parents questions. And for them it was, I was born here and we came over and we just did this. Yeah, but where? What did you do? My mom let slip one day that they would pack all the peas and the produce up in the house that they had in St. Mary in Jamaica and shell the peas, and they would prepare them to go to market or go to other houses. And then I realised that there's a habit that my family have, which is when I was growing up, if you were going to visit another family in Birmingham, they would say, oh, take that for so-and-so. Oh, and make sure you give this to Mr. So-and-so, and take this jumper and I forgot to give this. And you'd have to take all these packages to people. But when my mom spoke about growing up in Jamaica, I realised that there was a family across the way who had farmed chickens. There was a family over the side that did, certain produce like corn and so on. There was a family down the road, peas and so on. And so only by visiting and bringing food did you actually have a full meal, kind of thing. You actually just gave and shared produce with other families in order to create that sense of, okay, we can have a full sort of thing.
It makes sense.
And it made sense. I suddenly went, oh, you just, it's in the blood. You just did this all the time. This wasn't even a question. If you're going to see someone, you don't go empty-handed. You bring something that you think they would appreciate or like.
But it's a nice way to live.
Completely. And we grew up like that, so much that when I was a teenager it was annoying. But we grew up like that. If you're going to see
What did you used to take to your friends' houses, Adrian?
It was just sometimes they'd have like produce that had come from Jamaica, or they'd got a market where they knew the guy had got it from Jamaica. Said, oh, take this soursop over to so and so. It's the good one. And you'd take a paper bag with 2 or 3 soursop in it, or it was stuff like that.
Very hospitable.
Very, very hospitable.
Yeah, very nice. What questions would you like to uncover? Where do you want to dig into then during this process?
I am interested in seeing how far back you could possibly go. Because with a family from Jamaica, history stops at the point where people were trafficked. And then there's hundreds of years of existence, but it's not been recorded. So I wanted to see how far back practically, with absolute facts, could you go about with my bloodline.
Well, our genealogist, Laura House, likes a challenge, and that certainly is a challenge. Challenge accepted.
All right, good.
Okay, so you know that your immediate family are from the Caribbean, but you don't know much more.
Not much more than that. I know parts of the family went off to America, and some people went around the world, but I don't know the facts of that.
Okay, well, maybe in the next 40 minutes or so, we will uncover all you wish to know. Who knows?
Don't say the bad stuff, just the good stuff. Just the good stuff.
Always just the good stuff.
Great.
But we ask all our guests to bring something with them, be it a document or an artefact, something that your descendants will enjoy looking and listening to later on, because this is a digital record of the Lester family.
Right.
So what did you choose, Adrian?
Well, I went to see my aunt for dinner on yesterday, and she gave me this photo. This is the original photo. And this is a photo of my grandparents in Jamaica in 1944 at their wedding. And my granddad has got his right hand on the Bible, standard sort of photograph, right hand on the Bible, and his left hand, his wife is there, my grandma. And 1944, apparently in Jamaica at that time, there was a hurricane. And so my auntie said, yeah, the cake went flying. And I said, what? I said, yeah, the cake went flying. Then she carried on, so would you like some salad? And I'm going, tell me about the cake. But apparently there was a hurricane that day. But yeah, that's from their wedding.
Can I have a look,
a
closer look? It's a beautiful frame as well. Well, what a handsome couple. We see now where you get it from, Adrian.
Thank you.
But that's a lovely picture, isn't it?
And I can imagine it's one of those photos where you have to, be still and just stay there for a few seconds.
But you know a little bit about their history then?
A tiny bit. And I mean, I'd like to know more. I know that there's a place in Jamaica where so many Lesters were born. It's been named Lester Hill. And it's quite close to St. Mary, which is the parish that they were. It's all divided into parishes.
Right.
Which is the parish where my granddad was born. And in those days, you had a lot of kids. Actually, his youngest sister, I believe, just passed.
Oh.
So, of my granddad's generation, she's the last one left in the family. And now the oldest sort of strand, the oldest generation is my mom's age, my mum, my aunt, my uncle,
right,
in the family. So, and
so for you, does that feel like you want to, does it make it more urgent for you to find out a little bit more and, go back a bit further?
Yeah, it does. And I look at my kids and I'm thinking forward and I'm thinking, I don't know what path they will take in life, but there may be children involved. And I thought from the Jamaican side of things, it's actually my responsibility to tell them, right, this is where you're from. This is what it is. This is, your connection to that island and therefore your own history.
Well, this is the first step, isn't it, in uncovering all of that for your own children.
Yep.
I won't keep you in suspense any longer because I will officially introduce Ancestry's senior genetic genealogist, Laura House. Laura is an absolute whiz at digging in to people's family heritage, as the title would suggest, and she has done some digging for you. But let's start with Adrian's DNA results.
Yes. Adrian, your interest in your deep origins has given us the most fantastic opportunity to explore your AncestryDNA results in a way that I think will not just be useful for you, but will also be useful for a lot of people listening who are in a situation where the documentation for their family might be limited, or in a situation where they might be adopted or have, some other situation in their family where the relationship is not on a record.
Okay. And because Adrian explained earlier that, of course, his family line, as far as he knows, only goes back because, of course, people that came from the islands, it's very hard to trace, isn't it? Are there other ways that you could get around that, apart from just doing the DNA testing?
Ancestry's made a massive effort over the last few years to digitise records that pertain to enslaved people, for example.
Right.
And these vary massively from country to country, and even within a country from location to location. And the information you find in them varies as well. And what a lot of people want to know is, where were their ancestors taken from? And this is the hardest information to uncover, because people didn't write that down. And this is part of the enormous indignity of that time period, is that people were taken from their home country, had their name changed, and no record was created of that name change. And so in these situations, DNA is the best way of overcoming that obstacle. And what we often end up with is not so much names, but places and the silhouettes of the people who lived in those places.
Okay, so DNA is crucial for Adrian. Adrian, this is exciting, isn't it?
Yep.
Now, before we dive in, obviously you are incredibly busy. I am surprised that we've managed to track you down to come here and record this podcast. Congratulations on everything.
Thank you.
But Cyrano de Bergerac is the current project at the Noel Coward Theatre. This is a brilliant story of unrequited love, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. It's the classic tale of Cyrano de Bergerac. He has a big nose. And at the same time as being riddled with self-doubt and insecurity because of his features, and I suppose he's grown up being teased, he is a philosopher, he's a fighter, he's full of honour, he's a poet. He can fight with words as well as with a sword. And he is in love with Roxanne. And Roxanne is in love with Cyrano's soldier friend, Christian. And she wants Christian to write to her. She asks Cyrano, tell him to write to me. But Christian can't write. He's terrible with words. He gets tongue-tied with women. He can't do it. But he does love Roxanne. So Cyrano decides, in order to be true to his soldier friend and to help his soldier friend and to be true to Roxanne, he's going to write the love letters on behalf of Christian. And as he begins to write these letters, he can finally express his true love for her in these letters. And Roxanne falls deeply in love with Christian because of the way he writes.
Oh, it's a classic
and
story.
That's the classic story. Yeah.
My goodness.
And it's a joy to play, and the cast are wonderful. And we did it in Stratford last year. And, thankfully it was sold out, went really well. And so now it's coming to the West End.
And how do you feel? Because obviously, as you said, his appearance is a big part of it, and the nose. Does that instantly help you as an actor when you pop it on? Or have you not rehearsed yet with the nose?
I think it's a story that relates to us all because, in a way, everybody has their big nose. When you're in love with someone, you're very vulnerable in front of that person. And we all have a certain insecurity, something that we hope they'll love us in spite of, or we feel kind of not good enough because of certain things. And it's a general way of mapping a person's insecurity and vulnerability. And so therefore, when people come and see the show and they look at Cyrano, his feature, his thing is right on his face, as plain as the nose on his face. But we all understand the idea of loving while hiding and being deeply affectionate, but turning away at the same time and not really claiming it and having that fear. And in this translation by Deborah Stevenson and Simon Evans, they go right into it with the poetry and the writing. We absolutely explore that side of things.
I'm guessing you don't get that nervous when you're on stage because it's what you do. You are a terrific actor, but you look more nervous now.
Yeah, I don't know what you're going to say. I have no
It's
idea
exciting,
what you're going to dig up. And also,
so
all actors are a bit like a Cyrano. We hide behind the characters that we play. We find a truth in sort of those imagined circumstances. So presenting yourself as yourself feels a bit, I always feel a bit uncomfortable when it's just me being me, because also, yeah, I feel like there's nothing interesting about me.
Well, we love you just being you, Adrian, but we won't keep you waiting any longer.
All right.
So, Adrian, you've told us that you're particularly interested in where your family were taken from during the transatlantic slave trade, especially as many were forced to, of course, change their names. And there's no records of name changes. There's no official documents to help trace a person's life before or after. So, Laura, give us a little bit more detail on how you use AncestryDNA then to help people fill in vital gaps in their family history.
Yeah, of course. So AncestryDNA has really become an essential tool for people whose history is undocumented for one reason or another. And the way there are several components to AncestryDNA, and one of them is the DNA origins. Now, the way DNA origins works is there are reference panels representing regions all around the world. And these panels comprise of people who have heritage in a specific region going back several generations. So, for example, you imagine there are people who have several generations of English heritage, people who have several generations of Spanish heritage, and so on. And they represent, if you like, the genetic markers of that region. And then when you take a DNA test, your DNA is compared against these panels to see which regions you most closely resemble. And this then gives us a list of the regions that your ancestors most likely lived in at some point in history.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to show you your DNA origins now.
Okay.
And they're divided by parental side. So you have your paternal side and your maternal side. And for you, parent 1 is your father's side.
Right.
And parent 2 is your mother's side. So when you're looking at your results, you'll see that that's how it's divided up.
Okay.
And so what I'm going to show you now is the list of regions around the world that you most closely resemble. These are the regions where your ancestors most likely lived.
Nigeria is at the top. 13% with parent 1, 24% with parent 2, totaling 37%. So I'm 37% Nigerian. Ivory Coast and Ghana, 10%, 4%, so 14%. Benin and Togo, 13%. Central West Africa, 9%. Mali, 5%. Central Nigeria, 4%. Cameroon, 4%. Western Bantu peoples, 3%. The Netherlands, 3%. Southern Eastern England and Southwestern Europe, 3%. Oh, and the others are Denmark, France, Cornwall, Leinster, Ireland, and North East Scotland, 1%.
What do you make of that, Adrian?
Wow. I am off the continent. The Denmark, France, Cornwall, North East Scotland, and Ireland, that kind of makes sense.
In what way?
Well, given the trafficking and given what happened to people when they were being held.
As in just the spread of those areas.
The spread of those areas, and those who, Scotland makes sense. Those who were around during that period in Jamaica. This is all West African, Ghana, Nigeria, Central West Africa, Mali, Cameroon. We're going further in, but yeah, it all makes sense. There are no real surprises here.
Is that quite nice that there's no surprises? I mean, sometimes an element of surprise is lovely, but in a way, there's something comforting in it is what you thought it is.
Yeah, it's really comforting, and I've never seen a breakdown like this. For me, yeah, it's food for thought. And now I'm thinking of how little I know about Benin and Togo and Mali and Cameroon and Nigeria, really. I know very, very little, so I'm going to find out more.
Yeah, and your DNA is mostly Nigerian.
Yeah.
It might be a nice trip to do with the children at some point.
I think it would be, yeah.
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 What else have you discovered,
you.
Laura?
So there's some other elements of Ancestry DNA I want to share with you as well.
Yep.
I just love your face when you're going through that. I'm just watching you.
So many countries.
It's a lot of countries and so much history to think about. And the next thing I want to show you is something that we haven't had a chance to talk about yet on this podcast, because you've really given us the opportunity to go deep into the Ancestry DNA here, which I, as a genetic genealogist, am incredibly grateful for. So the next thing we're going to be looking at is something called a chromosome painter. Now, for anyone listening who doesn't know, Ancestry DNA tests your 22 pairs of autosomal chromosomes.
Right.
These comprise the bulk of your DNA. And you inherit one of each pair of chromosomes from your dad and one from your mum.
Okay.
So for chromosome 1, you get one from your dad, one from your mum. For chromosome 2, one from your dad, one from your mum. And the chromosome painter is a graphic of those chromosomes that comprise your DNA. And it shows you the regions mapped onto your chromosomes, so you can see a depiction of the physical DNA that you are carrying from those ancestors.
And can anybody do this?
Yes. Yeah, so you have it as well, Alex? Everyone has it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm just carrying a lot of Welsh on my shoulders. I
Yes.
can feel it.
And your chromosome painter shows it. Yes, everyone can have this. And for you, Adrian, I feel like it's particularly poignant because if, for example, you select one of these countries on the list, you will see the pieces of DNA that you are carrying from the ancestors who lived in those countries, generations on generations of people who had such varied lives going back thousands of years. And so I want you to have a look at this now. And those are your chromosomes. And if you select one of the countries on the left, you'll see.
Oh, what's he going to go for?
Oh, okay, let's go for Nigeria. It's the top,
Okay.
top there. Wow.
What does it say?
I am very Nigerian. It would seem. Parent 1 is
Your father.
father.
And so as you look at your chromosomes and as you look at the pieces of DNA on your chromosomes from all of these countries, just think about the ancestors who passed you that DNA and what their lives were like.
I'm looking at what looks like a ladder numbered from 1 to 22 with colour bars on them. And then on the left of the screen, I've got Nigeria, Ivory Coast, Ghana, Benin, Togo, Central West Africa, Mali, and so on. They're all colour-coded. So when I tap a country, on the spectrum, the ladder, parent to parent, it shows me how much of the chromosome has come from that particular region. It's very interesting.
What's it like, Adrian, to imagine, DNA with all those different cultures and heritage within your system? You're carrying all of that around. How does that sit with you?
I'm slightly speechless.
I can see.
We do so much. I was talking to a friend the other day, and we were talking about class and clubs, and that it's great to be part of that club or that society or this society, wherever it may be, schools, old schools, or even private members things and so on. And I realised that they operate on a system of exclusivity. We feel it's more special because certain people or other people aren't allowed in. It's not everybody can get in here.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
so that therefore makes it rarer, therefore makes it more special. And we lean a lot on, especially nowadays, we lean a lot on a purity of chromosome history. We lean a lot on a purity of, I am here, all my family's from here, so this therefore belongs to me, therefore it becomes exclusive. I have the right to exclude so many other people. And yet there are so many of us walking around who are a part of everything almost. I feel like I should have a world passport.
I know, but I mean, give us an idea. How many there or thereabouts are there in terms of countries?
In terms of countries, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 15 countries here.
So that
22 chromosome markers, doubled for each parent, would be 44 chromosome markers.
So it's taken all of that to make up one Adrian Lester.
all of that to make up one person. So the idea of claiming a right to being better or than anybody else because it's of a certain bloodline just becomes foolish. We're all very, very mixed. Especially someone like me. This is remarkable.
It's lovely to see how much you're enjoying looking at that.
It's great.
But the thing is with you, Adrian, and obviously we enjoy having all of our guests on and finding out about their families. But because of your background, it's given us more of an opportunity to delve even deeper, hasn't it, into your DNA?
Yeah, definitely. And I hope that this will be useful for people listening as well, whose families are similar, who may not have the documentation. There are so many reasons why people are in these situations, and it ranges from the transatlantic slave trade to colonialism to something as simple as adoption. So many reasons that people lose access to their history. And so people don't always realise that although sometimes if you do a lot of legwork in the documents, you can make a breakthrough. Sometimes this is the only option, but people don't even realise that this is an option. People don't even realise that they can access this information, and so quickly and easily as well. So yeah, it's something that I wish more people knew about. And when you look at the pieces of DNA that you inherited from your ancestors, when any of us looks at something like that, we are reminded that we are a jigsaw puzzle of all the people who came before us, and we are their legacy. And they still exist in us because we are alive today doing all the things that we do.
Yeah.
And I think that's beautiful.
So Adrian has around 8,000 matches.
Yes.
8,000 matches.
That's a big family.
Is that typical?
It is typical.
Oh, okay.
You're not special.
8,000, yeah.
Very special.
But it sounds like a lot.
Yeah. So when you take an Ancestry DNA test, you're matched with every person in the database with whom you share a meaningful amount of DNA. And then you are given a list of your genetic relatives.
And sorry, what's classed as a meaningful amount?
Shared DNA is measured in a unit called centimorgans. And we consider 7 or 8 centimorgans to be a meaningful amount. Anything less than that, we consider it could be a false positive. Sometimes people share DNA just because they're from a similar ethnic background, or because they're from the same community, or just because they're both human beings.
Okay.
So you need it to be a certain amount before we consider that to be likely to have come from a shared ancestor. And so this is where it gets interesting for you, Adrian, because your closest matches are mostly Jamaican. As we would expect. But as we go further and further along down the list to the most distant matches, the ones who share 8 centimorgans, 9 centimorgans, we start to see people who still today live in Africa. And so you have family today who share DNA with you living in Africa now. And so I just picked out a few examples of some of the locations they come from, because of course, if their family have been in those locations for a long time, that's also where your ancestors are from.
I'll go over and visit.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so you've got DNA matches whose heritage is entirely in Anambra, Nigeria.
Okay.
You've got matches in Ghana, of course in Mali. You've got Mali heritage on your mother's side, and many other countries in West Africa. And something that I found particularly exciting, I don't know if you all will find it as exciting as I did, but one of your DNA matches is a genetic genealogist in Ghana, same job as me.
Wow.
So if you ever need some extra help with your research,
you
have a cousin
to go to. Have you ever been to any of those countries?
I haven't, and I was about to go we were going to go to either Ethiopia, then Ghana, then Egypt, and we were trying to choose, but we settled on Ghana, and I thought it'll be fine, we can go. But then getting into Ghana, I had a week, and the immigration process is just ridiculous.
So it's not off the table, Ghana?
No.
It's sort of just paused.
Oh, it's paused. All these countries are paused. All these countries are now on the table.
I was going to say,
there's a new table.
Do you feel more enthused now about visiting?
Yes, there's a new table. It's bigger because all these countries are on it.
It is amazing what DNA can reveal, isn't it? Who knew?
Fantastic. It's fantastic. I'm gonna definitely go. And you're going to give me all this information. You're going to write it and give it to me, please, because I'm going to go to that to the place in Nigeria, definitely, and Ghana's definitely on the list. It's thank you for all that. It's great.
Yeah, and of course we can't give you the names of any living people because we want to respect people's privacy, and we would hate for someone to be listening to this podcast and hear their own name. So we can't share that.
Some people might be thrilled, Laura.
Some people might. You never know.
For the shout out.
You never know.
They might be. Oh no, he's coming to visit. I never met him. He's coming to visit.
We can't share their names, but we will be able to give that information to you separately. You will have your whole list of DNA matches, and then you can reach out to them yourself.
I can show my family as well. I'm going to show them.
Yeah, and the children.
I'm going to sit down and go, listen.
Yes, absolutely. And you can contact them through the Ancestry platform, and hopefully they will be responsive and talk to you about your shared family history.
Great.
And if all else
I get to
fails,
keep the iPad
the genealogist cousin.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the one. But when you came in earlier on, Adrian, obviously, you said, look, I don't know anything past my parents and great-great-grandparents. You wanted to know where your family were from during the transatlantic slave trade. Do you feel that you have now more of a grip on who, how you became Adrian Lester, your family's history?
Yeah. And it makes a hell of a lot of sense. And I think there's what happens to you when you find out where you're from. I think there's some part of you goes, oh, it's a puzzle, a jigsaw piece fits in, and you go, oh, that's why, or that makes it. Oh, I get it now. This makes a lot of sense.
Does it?
Yeah.
Who is the first person or people that you might share this information with?
My mom, definitely, because she's on here. Parent 2. I'll go to parent 2.
Don't tell her she's parent 2. She might get highly annoyed about that.
It's entirely random. It's entirely random.
But I have to say, Laura, as somebody who's given birth, you do not want to be parent 2.
No,
you
you're
want to be
parent
1. And after all that pain, I think mother should be parent 1. But that's a different
story. So I'll go to parent 1, and I'll go to her. And actually, my aunt as well. That we've all taken an interest in asking questions and trying to find out stuff. So it'll be good to share this, and definitely for my kids as well.
Yeah. Because
they're they're a unique mix. They're Bengali, Brahmin, Indian, and Jamaican. So I can give them lots of information on the Jamaican side.
Yes, their table might be even more
It's gonna
colourful.
Be even more colourful.
Who knows? But has it given you an appetite to find out even more about your family history?
Yeah, it has. And armed with this, I'm going to go visit those places and just have a dig around and have a look. Armed with the information that I have, and sort of find more things.
Well, you might need more than a week.
Just saying. More than a week, yeah.
I know you're busy, but you might need a couple of weeks to do a trip.
Get out there and do it properly.
Adrian, thank you so much for allowing us to go on this journey with you.
Thank you.
And the opportunity to take a deeper dive into how AncestryDNA can provide answers that have been hidden for centuries, really. Now, if people want to come and see you, and they definitely should, in the RSC's production of Cyrano de Bergerac at the Noel Coward Theatre, where can our listeners and viewers get tickets?
They're available online through the usual outlets, or if you visit cyrilowestend.co.uk, you can get tickets there. Or if you're wandering past the theatre, at the moment Cynthia Erivo is playing Dracula there, but there's a wee poster of me with a big nose. If you see that, go in, and you can get tickets there at the box office.
Fantastic. Adrian, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, what another fascinating episode of Questions and Ancestors. What I loved was watching Adrian just process it so thoughtfully in nearly complete silence, and I think that was really powerful. We have filled a gap in his family history for him, which is brilliant. Now, if you found Adrian's journey fascinating and are now thinking that you'd like to fill in gaps in your own family history, then you can start a 14-day free trial at ancestry.co.uk and get searching. And we'd love for you to tell others about the podcast. If you hit the subscribe or follow button right now and leave us a comment or review, it will help others to find us. And it could could spark their journey to find answers to the questions they have about their ancestors. Next time on the podcast.
Hi, I'm Hayley McQueen. Join me for my Questions and Ancestors.
Questions and Ancestors is brought to you by Ancestry. Well, thank you so much for sticking around until the end of the episode. Now, this is where you and I get to find things out about my family and ancestors. Already, we've had plenty of gems. Now, we're going to go through my DNA results.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Yes. And we're going to start.
I feel like we need a drum roll.
Okay, you can do a drum roll.
There we are.
Yes. So we're going to start by looking at your DNA origins, which is the part of the AncestryDNA results that compares your DNA to populations around the world to produce a list of the regions that your DNA most closely resembles.
Okay.
And this is in the form of percentages. And so I'm going to show you those results first of all.
I'm excited. This is brilliant. Alex's two ancestral regions, Southern Wales, Northern Wales and Northwest England. Well, I knew it. And I'm proud of the fact that I'm more or less completely and 100% Welsh, but 98% Southern Wales. Mm-hmm. My goodness. So does that mean that there is no traces of any other DNA from any other parts of the world?
Yes, it does. And so for people listening who might be wondering about the English ancestor and why he doesn't get a look in here.
Yeah.
The reason for that is that your DNA halves with every preceding generation. So you inherit 50% from each parent, roughly 25% from each grandparent, roughly 12.5% from each great-grandparent, and so on, halving with each preceding generation. And so by the time you get back to great-great-great-great-grandparents...
Poor William Braben from Padstow doesn't even touch the sides.
Yep, exactly. So you start to see ancestors dropping off at that point, and some of them don't contribute to your total amount of DNA. So it looks like poor William, yep, he didn't even get a chance.
He didn't get a look in. But what is lovely, I've always had this feeling that our family are very Welsh, and this is the proof in the pudding.
Absolutely. You're as Welsh as they get.
Well, there we are. There we are. I'm proud to be. Laura, thank you very much.